listeners. I'm Darlene Fisk. I am the co-founder of Swell Public Relations. And today I am excited to interview Louie Schwartzberg, who is an award-winning filmmaker who has a new movie out, and he also has started a new podcast. We'll talk about that. And he's a lover of nature, which we love too. So I see he's just joined, and we will get him on in just a second. Okay, let's see here. He's requested. Should be coming on. Hope you guys can hear me okay. It's Tuesday after Labor Day. I hope everyone is well rested and ready to take on the world. He should be coming on any minute. First met Louie at, I think in Palm Beach at the Breakers. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how his movies move people to tears as they did Kim Marshall and I. Okay, here he is.
Here we go.
Hi, Louie.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Let me see. Do I need to adjust my camera here?
Okay.
Oh,
Perfect.
but you're on top. Is that good?
You look great.
There we go.
Happy Tuesday. So here I am. I'm Darlene Fisk. I'm the co-founder of Swell Public Relations, and we are here with Louie Schwartzberg. He is an award-winning filmmaker, cinematographer, director, producer, and we are on the Global Wellness Summit Leader Livecast, which we do every week. And we started this when COVID first came on. Since we weren't able to meet together face-to-face, we wanted to keep everybody in touch and also hear how the pandemic has affected people in the wellness industry. So I'll share a quick memory of Louie. When I attended my very first Global Wellness Summit at the Breakers Palm Beach, I remember the opening day had these amazing videos of nature, and it was very moving. It was beautiful flowers and trees and just and music to go with it. And I thought, my gosh, who is this amazing person who's put all these together? And I didn't really, and then until the next morning when it happened again, and I thought, I want to start my every day of my life like this. And so like it became a highlight and something that everybody, made sure no matter how late they stayed up, like with all of their friends the night before, they had to get there for Louie's film. So Louie, how did you get involved with the Global Wellness Summit, and why was it important to you to show your films there?
Well, I think I met Susie Ellis about 7 or 8 years ago at a Global Wellness Summit in Washington, D.C. And then she said, oh my God, you got to come to India. And that's where and this is your tribe. So I think I've been a keynote speaker for about 5 or 6 years in a row. And I love the work that all of the people do inside the industry. I mean, you guys turn people on to wellness, either through amazing locations or massage or, aromatherapy. And I try to turn people on visually. And I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, we do too. I remember also at that, on one of those days at the Breakers, lunch breaks out and everybody sort of runs for a table. And the table spots get filled up pretty quickly because they have these great like table topics that you can, join and participate in conversations around an area of interest. And I think I was late to lunch and I walked in, all the seats were full, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't put my friends where am I going to sit, or, there's no topics left. So I just sat down in an empty chair and I went and got my food. And I came back and Louie was sitting right next to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, how lucky am I to sit next to you and to learn more about you. And that was where we had talked briefly and come up with an idea that that started at the summit that we made into real life, where we showed your films at one of my clients in a hotel that had a private movie theater, and they had this great kids club, but they really wanted to be part of the wellness movement and do something with families. And And so thank you for letting us share all of that imagery with children. Why was it important for you to share that with kids? I mean, what do you think kids get out of it?
Well, I think they naturally have a more of an open mind and a heart to wonder and awe. That's where they live. And I think nature's imagery is a beautiful palette of patterns and rhythms and colors that can excite them. And hopefully it becomes like a long-term relationship, because when you fall in love with something, you'll protect it forever. And so I'm very excited to be able to share my work with young people. Even the feature films I've done, like Wings of Life and even Fantastic Fun Guy, I've heard parents tell me that 4-year-olds sit through the whole movie. They may not understand all the concepts and maybe even the science, but they're just turned on by the eye candy. And I think that that connection is something that lives inside the deepest part of our soul.
How did you first come to love nature? What were some of your earliest memories of that?
I was born in Brooklyn, so I really didn't experience nature until I went to UCLA and fell in love with photography and filmmaking. I'm sure I did a mushroom or two, and that probably even took me on a dive into the fact that everything is connected, and wanting to make the invisible visible, wanting to show people, what's below the surface, unveiling the mystery. Because I'm curious. I want to know what makes the world go round. You know, what is life? And so time lapse and slow mo and micro and macro have always been the kind of the tools I've used to do these explorations into the mystery. And it's a never ending journey. I mean, there is no end to it. It's something that I think once you're on that path, you'll do it for the rest of your life.
And did I read on one of your, you've got such great information online, by the way, fantasticfunguy.com and movingart.com, which is your series on Netflix. Those are two great resources to go and find out more information on Louie. But did I read that you have, for 4 decades, have had video rolling 24/7? Is that true? Like right now, you're filming
Yeah.
something.
Yes. Right now, I'm filming some. I think it's called portulaca flowers and a big giant daisy. So it isn't video. It was filmed back in the day. And so basically, I have a studio with grow lights where I'm able to shoot plants 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop. I've been doing that for 4 decades, and I've squeezed 4 decades into about 16 hours of film, which is pretty remarkable. So I shoot like 2 seconds per day, shooting one frame every 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I'm compressing time in order for us to be able to rejoice in the fact that, hey, flowers move. More than move, they dance. They do incredible ballets and all kinds of movement. And during this COVID, it's pretty interesting. I've been shooting in my studio. At least it gives me an outlet to do some creative filming. But I've been doing more adventurous filming than I've ever done, because typically I would set up a shot in the beginning of the day, go to work, come back, and I would make it like a wider shot, like maybe the whole flower. But now, because I'm home, I'm zooming in like into like half an inch, like getting deep inside the sexual organ of the plant, doing a deep dive exploration. And what happens is there's a greater chance of failure. If it moves a fraction of an amount, if it moves an eighth of an inch, it's out of focus. But I'm there to note the failure, reframe, and shoot again. So I've been getting just incredible abstract shots. I've filmed almost an hour's worth of material on 2 cameras, rolling constantly nonstop.
Wow. And what do you do with all of this footage? Like, are you saving it for something that you know you want to do, or is it just sort of a library of?
It's kind of building a visual vocabulary so that when the time comes, I have material, because you can't just snap your fingers and go, oh, I need a bunch of time-lapse flowers. So for example, like with Wings of Life, which I did for Disney Nature, Meryl Streep tells the story from a flower's point of view of getting it on with bees, bats, hummingbirds, and butterflies. A very beautiful, seductive, sexual love story, which provides us with the healthy food we need to survive, all the fruits, berries, nuts, vegetables, all the healthy food we need comes from that intersection between the animal and plant world. So what a gift. And so therefore I have the library, and I'm able to select the flowers that are going to work with the pollinators that I happen to film on location: bees, bats, hummingbirds, butterflies. And I'm able to do like a match cut and go, oh my God, look at that. The flower's opening. It's saying, hey, come get me. I need to get laid. This is my violet window. I need to get my DNA moved around. I need a messenger to take my pollen from one flower to another in order to survive. And the beautiful part is that the bee unknowingly does it because all it wants to do is bring home some pollen and nectar to feed its brood. And I love the fact that they're enabling each other unknowingly. It's not a transactional, agreement, which is typical of business. You do this for me, I'll do this for you. You're doing it for each other, and we are actually the beneficiaries because we get to have the fruit, nuts, and berries and vegetables that are the core diet we need in order to be healthy.
And we're so lucky too, because thanks to you, we also get to watch this like magic in nature. I remember we did a press trip to the Beach Club in Charleston where we showed your films, and it was all dark, and there are these images of these flowers opening, and people started giggling like, oh my goodness, it was like so sensual and special and very personal. But it's so fun to get like up close with nature that way. Speaking of movie theaters and films, several months ago, before COVID hit, I saw that you were coming to Austin, or your movie was coming to a theater in Austin, your fantastic fungi film. And I immediately bought several tickets for me and a few of my friends. I didn't know who I was going to take. I was going to be very careful about, bringing someone who would appreciate nature and mushrooms. And then a week or two before everything sort of, came crashing down, and I couldn't go, and nobody could go anywhere. And you had this film that's about to be launched into the universe on March 26th, I think it was. So, what did you do? How did you regroup? How did you come out of that?
Well, we launched the film in the fall, and we did it primarily in art house theaters, and it was all done through word of mouth. We didn't do any advertising. All the marketing was done by just talking to people in the wellness space, mycologists, environmentalists, chefs, foragers, and we broke records. We opened it up in Denver first, and then we went to Portland, cities that also had an active political movement on the decriminalized nature, decriminalizing, mushrooms for medicinal purposes, for end of life, stress, anxiety, cancer. And, we broke records in all those theaters, and we kept on expanding. And we had like over 5,000 requests from theaters all over the world saying, when are you going to come to my town? We want your movie. So we couldn't fulfill all those requests. So we came up with this like crazy global idea. Let's do a one-day screening, March 26th. We'll have 500 theaters across the world. And Paul Stamets and I, we're going to broadcast out of UCLA, do a Q&A for early morning for Europe, midday for East Coast, and then West Coast in the early evening. And kind of like the mycelial network, that's the network under the ground that connects trees to one another. It's fungi. It's actually the organ of the mushroom. The mushroom is the sexual part of the plant. The actual, living organism is mycelium, the largest organism on the planet. There's one in Oregon. It's over 20 acres. So we decided to have this one-day event. March 26th, we picked a date. Well, beginning of March, guess what? We hear about COVID. So then we have to change our messaging to don't go to the theater, or you go to some theaters that are open, some are closing. And then we quickly pivoted to, we said, no, we have to make it 100% online. And so we did it online. We were the first to do virtual cinema online. We had 50,000 people show up from over 100 countries. And the beautiful thing is we ended up sharing the revenue with the local theaters. If they sent out an email blast to their patrons, we still split 50-50 with them. And a lot of that money went back to the local community for food banks, for people who were suffering from the pandemics. I mean, I would read it like on my Google search and go, oh my God, look at that, look what happened in Cleveland. They showed the movie and they took the money and they donated it to local community efforts. Because most community art house theaters are supported by the local community and have that relationship with the local community. And even before COVID, the key to our success wasn't just the fact that it's a great movie or a fantastic movie. We held the space for a conversation. We invited local leaders to be part of a panel conversation if I was there, or if I wasn't there, I would Skype in. And so we had the local forager, beekeeper, chef, mycologist, healers, psychonauts, whatever was part of that local community, so that they could have the conversation, figure out how to engage with their local leaders and friends, and be involved in the community. And it was amazing to feel the love in the lobby, even before the movie started. It was just wonderful that we were bringing everyone together. And a lot of people don't have a conversation about quote unquote psychedelics because of the stigma around it and the propaganda. But it is like, you know, moving through like 10 or 15 universities now at breakneck speed with the idea that it can be a cure for PTSD or a treatment for PTSD. In fact, I'm really proud to say in the fall at St. John's here in Santa Monica, we're going to do a clinical trial combining my visual healing on the giant 85-inch monitor with a psilocybin treatment to cure alcohol addiction.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
I know. So
congratulations.
Who knows, you know, where all this is going to lead. I'm also doing a clinical trial at UCSD combining aromatherapy with my visual healing to see how it can also do the same thing. You know, reduce stress, addiction to painkillers, lower heart rate, respiration rate. I mean, it's totally in line with what the wellness community, I think, wants to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're definitely leading the charge and are ahead of the curve and so innovative always. In fact, I love the title of your new podcast. You've got one episode on Spotify so far and more to come. I want you to tell us about it. It's called Awe and Wonder.
Well,
and
either way, wonder and awe.
Wonder and awe. I wrote it down wrong. But okay. I wanted to say wonder and awe. It just sounded better. But I thought, oh. Anyway, tell us about it. How did this come about?
Well, it's a project that I've always wanted to, you know, create as a series or a movie. But here's the thing. I actually started my TED Talk in 2014. I said, what is the intersection between art and science? Wonder and awe. And then I found out in 2024, the Getty Museum and the LA County Museum, every 4 years, they pick a theme that all the museums do. And guess what the theme is going to be? The intersection between art and science. And what is the intersection between art and science? Well, it's wonder and awe. And I believe that's true because whether you're an artist or scientist or any kind of creative thinker, when you feel wonder and awe, it puts you into the present moment. It makes you present. And it enables you to observe things with a really open mind and an open heart. And that's where inspiration comes from. It triggers your curiosity. I think even asked Albert Einstein, you know, what was his definition of God? And he said a sense of wonder. So for me, that kind of seems like it's the ultimate bliss experience that enables you to then take that inspiration and manifest it. You know, you get this aha moment and you go, I want to do that. I want to make that. I want to write that. I want to create that. I want to research that, you know? And so for me, that is like the ultimate kernel of inspiration is wonder and awe.
Mm-hmm. So you're the host and you'll have someone from the art community and someone from the science community in every episode.
Yeah.
I love that. One of the things that has kept me sane during the COVID is nature and getting out with my friends, and we just hit the hiking trails. If there's nothing else we can do, we don't really want to be seen in public socializing, we just get off the streets and into the trees and on the trails. And the other day, my friend and I were talking, and we were talking about curiosity and like, how do you encourage that or spark that in children? You know, what are some things that you can do to maybe help people be a little bit more curious?
Well, again, I think that it comes back to wonder and awe. I think with kids, it's natural. I mean, you can just, put a ladybug on your finger and then completely blow a kid's mind. You can blow my mind, looking at that close up. We're hardwired, I think, to want to reconnect with nature. I think all the problems we've been having in the last 150 years is a disconnection from nature, this materialistic view of the universe. And we're feeling the effects of it now in the pandemic, global climate change, all the things that we're doing, and we've gone off the rail, And I think that, beauty is nature's tool for survival because you protect what you love. So we're hardwired to do that. I mean, nobody taught you what is beautiful, right? You didn't go to school and learn that. Kids know it. So we're hardwired to feel it. And it's easy to trigger it. It's just that in our culture, we become disconnected from taking a walk in the woods. Our culture makes us, kids now spend a fraction of the time their parents did outdoors. So just being outdoors, I think, would trigger it. It's beautiful that we don't have to teach it. It's something you just let go and let it fill your heart, soul, and you'll always, I think, go on the right path. It's kind of interesting right now. The values we need, we've kind of lost our moral compass. I sound like an old guy preaching to young people, but the core audience for Fantastic Fungi is 18 to 40-year-olds. That's my big audience. So I believe that currently there is a lack of a moral compass because organized religion is not working. Nobody wants to have an old person tell you what to think or feel. And we're so addicted to social media, young people especially, having your lives being controlled by social media. So where do you go for the things that kind of I had maybe growing up, even if it was even though I kind of rejected it, the 10 Commandments, the idea of going to Sunday school, those things were important, thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a hunger. And I think nature can fill that because every time you look at nature, there's a beautiful moral story. Indigenous cultures had all their beautiful oral mythology. It was always based on this kind of story about a raven. There was a trickster. But there's a reason why you're hearing that story. It's about how to live a kind, compassionate, courageous life. Yeah. Those were all moral lessons, and we don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Well, I hope that, nature never lets us down, and I think we've all formed a different bond with nature through all of this because it's the one thing that is always there for us. It's accessible to everybody. It doesn't cost anything. And there's so many different forms of it that you can find, and it brings such joy. We've got to wrap up. I know this has been so fun. We could listen to you talk all day. And now I want to go watch all of your films. FantasticFungi.com. You must go see. You can download it, stream it on Amazon, Apple TV. You said it was what number position was it?
Number one.
Documentary?
Number one documentary on Apple TV 3 weeks in a row and in the top 10 of all movies, including Hollywood movies. So we have definitely, I think, struck a chord. What's important is that in this COVID, during this pandemic, the hardest thing I think we've had to deal with is social distancing and being disconnected from each other. My movie is all about connection. The fact that there's this, mycelium network under the ground that is a shared economy, not based on greed, but to enable ecosystems to flourish. That is nature's operating instructions. And that's why I think people are responding to the movie.
Yeah. My last question for you is, what brings you hope every day? I might know your answer.
I think I walk outside, I check out the garden, I see what bloomed, and yeah, it helps me become aligned and just soaking up the beauty.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We are going to save this to our IGTV and also upload it to the Global Wellness Summit website. Thank you from Swell Public Relations. Kim and I thank you. Nancy, Susie, Michelle, all of us thank you. And we'll be looking for you on the big screen very soon.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Louie.
May the spores be with you.
Yes, may the spores be with you. I love that. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.